Welcome back again to the Well Woman podcast by RTS by Sandra Gloria. I'm your host, Amy, also known as Sandra Gloria. And today I have a wonderful guest with me. Her name is Amy Porte. She is a phenomenal life coach, a woman who, after 17 years in a career, she walked away. So I want us to listen in and know why. Why did you do that? Let's welcome Amy. Hi, Amy. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you.
How
It's
are
good to
you
be on here.
How are you doing today?
I am doing quite well, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
it's a beautiful day and beautiful weather.
It's hot, but I love hot. I love hot. So, Amy, I just told them 17 years. You walked away from something. Tell us, take us back. What was that? What did you walk away from?
What did I walk away from? What did I not walk away from? Okay, so I guess I go back to January of 2024 when I had the prompting in my spirit. It wasn't a voice, it was just that I knew that I knew that I knew, but I didn't know how I knew. Just thought it was time to move on. And then in February, it became a voice. It's time to move on. And I thought, I'm not ready. So I'm in this company. I started there in 2007, was actually when I came to Alberta from Ontario. And started in there as a customer service representative. And then eventually stepped into leadership. So I have been in leadership for a time, and a year prior to that, I also had shifted teams. So I went from one department to another. And after a year with them, that's when I started feeling like it was time to exit. And I didn't know what that was about. Because I'm in a space that I'm in right now. I am a single mom with my son, almost 14. And beautiful boy, and we've got a beautiful family dynamics in such that his father and I are co-parenting him in such a way that he's turned out to be one of those kids that you won't even know he's juggling two homes. So when I heard that prompting, or when I felt that prompting in January, saying, in my mind, thinking it's time to leave, I think the first thought that popped in was, I'm not ready. Like, I'm a single mom, and I'm not getting any money from his dad, as in, like, he's not paying me child support. So I'm like 100% responsible for our son. And there's a lot of things on the go. He's in a private school that requires tuition every year. And so in my mind, I'm thinking I need a full-time job to manage all of this. He's been in his school since kindergarten, so I didn't want to take him out, even after parting, separation, divorce, which will be another story for another day. I didn't want to take him out because that was the only place that I felt like it was home, because he's been there for so long. And so I tossed back and forth with that message in my mind. It's time to go. I just couldn't understand what that meant and what that meant for me, for my family, moving forward. What is it? So I just kept going on, and I kept praying and asking God, because I'm a woman who believes that God is where my joy is. Everything starts with Him. And though sometimes there are times where I don't fully understand what he's doing or what He's saying, but it just going back and saying, well, God, I'm with a team right now that I feel like I can do more here. I feel like I can contribute to this company in such a big way. Can you just use me here instead of taking me out? I don't want to leave because I'm being paid well. And so fast forward, in May, my sister-in-law visited from the U.S., my brother's wife. And I remember being with her. I took time off work, a week and a half, to spend time with her because it was her first time coming to Canada with my niece. And I just wanted to be present with them, not working and then, giving a few hours or a few minutes of my day, I wanted to really be present with them, especially with my niece.
Yeah.
Because it was my first time meeting her in person.
Yeah.
And so I took the time off work, but even that, I kept feeling like I'm not going back. So like, okay. And I'm like, I'm not gonna play about. I'm not even gonna think about it. I'm just going to have fun with my sister-in-law and my niece, and we'll go from there. We'll figure it out when I get back. So she stayed till the end of May, and I remember going back to work. She left on that Sunday, and I went back to work on Monday. Mondays and Fridays, typically we would work from home.
Okay.
And then Tuesday to Thursdays, we were in the office as a means to just, create collaboration with your teams and different things like that. And so I remember sitting at my desk. For some reason, I could not focus that day. How I worked with my team is that I communicate with them morning to kind of let them know what my day looks like, so they know when to reach out, when not to reach out to me, so they have my schedule in a way. And then at the end of the day, when I'm checking out, is just giving them a heads up. Hey, I'm checking out. Again, it's just kind of setting our boundaries that once I'm done work, I don't want my phone ringing. So this is like letting them know that. And so I remember sitting there that day. I had a few projects I was working on, and I just couldn't focus. The thought just became louder and louder and louder. And I'm sitting there going like, what the heck is happening? Like, am I going crazy?
Is this schizophrenia or something?
Right? Why is this voice in my head, and why is it getting so loud? I could not focus for the life of me. But I pushed through, kind of got through. I don't know what I got done that day. I don't think I got anything done, because I think I just kept jumping from one task to the next task, thinking that, okay, I need something to distract me. I'll get up and I'll walk outside, stand outside on the patio, come back in, sit down at the computer, and the voice just get louder and louder and louder. And I thought, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, maybe I'm just having a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I'm just gonna push through. I'm gonna find ways to try to make this voice silent. So I listened to some worship music, and the more I did that, the louder it got. So I'm like, okay, I'll meditate, because I may have trained myself to silence my brain, which is something that's so fascinating and so amazing. So I thought, I'll meditate. Okay, I'll just sit down for half an hour. I stepped away from my desk, and I sat there. But the thought just got louder. I'm like, okay, God, what are you doing? Like, help me.
Yeah.
So I pushed through the day, got through the day. But for some reason, I was just so antsy, so anxious. But it's not the anxious of like you're afraid anxious.
Yeah.
It was a different kind of anxiousness I was feeling. But I couldn't understand it. So after work, I have my office in the main area of my home, like below. So it's a 3-level townhome. My office is downstairs, and I did that just to separate home and life. Yeah. I went upstairs, and then I remember taking my laptop with me upstairs. I'm like, this isn't usually me, because usually I train my brain to just like disconnect from work when I walk away from my desk. When I shut that laptop and I walk away, that means my work brain is done. Yeah. But I remember taking the laptop upstairs with me that day, and I sat it on the kitchen island, and I sat down on the sofa, and then the thought just got louder and louder and louder, and I thought, okay. So then my Holy Spirit, what are you doing? It's time to go. It's time to go. And the next thing I knew, I'm sitting at my laptop. I don't even know how I left my sofa to my laptop to the kitchen island. I remember sitting there and typing, but I was typing my letter of resignation.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it was so strange. I'm sitting there, I'm questioning myself, why am I doing this? Like, what am I doing? But it was like my fingers couldn't stop.
Wow.
I was just like typing. And the next thing I knew, I hit send. And the moment I hit send, it was like the voice in my head just like poof.
Stopped.
And there was just this overwhelming of peace I've never felt before. And I pray for it every day now because I'm like, God, you remember that peace that you gave me when I quit my job? Can you give me that every day? I mean, I have peace, but it was a different kind of peace that came upon me that day. And I remember picking up the phone and calling my friend, like, I just quit my job. And she goes, yeah, the cloud has lifted.
Wow.
And I'm like, girl, I was looking for somebody to sympathize with me and tell me you are crazy. Go and retract that letter and let's go. But she was like, nope, the cloud has lifted.
Wow. Okay.
I didn't understand it at the time when she said it. I remember being actually upset at her because I was like,
don't understand how
I needed somebody to like
validate what's going on right now.
Yes, exactly. Validate me, maybe even cry with me. What the heck? I remember hanging out with her and thinking like, is she for reals?
Yeah.
Like, what does that even mean? The cloud has lifted. Yeah. But it had not dawned on me yet.
Yeah.
But I remember just cruising through the day and just feeling this like peace.
Yeah.
It was like the weight I was carrying with juggling my team and upper management and just being a middle person, just all of a sudden just lifted. So then the next day was when my manager reached out, because when I sent the email, it was not 8 o'clock at night. Wow. So of course she wasn't in the office to receive it. So she got the email the next morning and she phoned me. Of course, that's a typical process, right? If somebody's quitting, you want to find out what's going on. So she reached out and she said, Amy, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. She's like, this isn't like you. Yeah. So if the person that sent that email was not me, because the person before that email was sent was a person that was very structured, very oriented, very focused, and I knew where I was going, in that I would plan everything.
Yeah.
My resignation was for effective immediately. There was not a 2 weeks notice. It was just, I'm done and I don't want to waste your time, nor do I want to waste mine. Because it was just like mentally, I was done. Physically, I was done. Emotionally, I was done. But I didn't know I was done until I sent the email, and then that peace just came. And so, and she's like, okay, so this isn't like you. I've worked with you for a while. She's like, you're a planner. So for you to do this tells me something is wrong with you. Do you need to take a mental health leave? And I thought, no. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, I am sure. She's like, something isn't right. She's like, you've been with this company for 17 years. You didn't even give us 2 weeks notice. You're quitting for effective immediately. What does that even mean? I'm like, I don't know. I just know that it's time to go. And she goes, you know what? Why don't you take a sick leave and we'll pay you. You figure it out and then come. I'm like, my mind is made up. And I said, I don't want to steal from you because if I were to take a mental health leave, and I know what within myself, I don't have any mental health issues, I'm stealing from you. But I think in my mind, I was telling myself, I am not claiming mental health. It's not me. That's not who God says I am. Internally, I was telling myself that. Yeah. But on the phone with her, I just said, I don't want to be a thief. I'm not a person that steals. Yeah. And I'm not going to start now. I say, I am very well. Thank you for, caring enough to offer that to me. But it's time for us to part ways. And she was like, okay. Wow. So that was that. So the process, my resignation, and life kind of went on from there.
And so where did you go? Because it said it's time to go. So where did you go?
So after I left the job, after I had the final conversation with my boss, after I got the email confirmation that my termination had been processed, then it dawned on me, like, Amy, what the heck?
You're jobless.
Yeah. I'm like, what did you do? I couldn't figure it out. So I'm like, I went back to God because I'm like, God, you're with me. Like, I don't want to be anywhere that you're not. You are my source, and I know you will provide. And so the question then was, okay, you must have another job for me that's better than this one, right? Like, I mean, that's just the normal thing that you would think in the physical. It's like, you must have something else lined up for me for you to take me out of a job that was paying me so well to now just not having a job. And so then the next prompting I got was, it's time to move. So I bought my home in 2020. And it was my forever home until my son got to an age where he was able to take care of himself, at least in my mind. Yeah. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So when I bought this home, I did some reno on it, and I did the renovation myself. So it took me the course of the years I was there to get it there. And then just that year, I just finished the last piece of renovation, which was painting of the bedrooms and stuff like that. And then he was like, yep, it's time to move.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, really? Like, I'm not hearing you right. Like, I'm like, there's got to be a voice.
This is my head.
This is my voice. This is not your voice. Because I'm like, you and I agree. As in, like, when I was buying, because even this home was, again, another story, but it was a divine way of getting it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I had this conversation with you back in 2020 before I bought this home.
Yeah.
And I told you this is what I wanted, and now you're just gonna like
yank it off my face. Okay.
Yeah. But again, this is how he works with me, or at least that's what I believe. It's the prompting, and then it gets louder. So we're in June. I now don't have a job to go to. And it's funny because I attempted to apply for other jobs because I thought, well, I'm just going to find something temporarily while I'm waiting, because I don't know what God is doing. You know, like I can run ahead of God, right? Like, don't we all think that?
We do. I do. Yeah. How about plan A, B, C?
Right?
And then God.
Yeah. I'm like, well, you know, like God is going to take in his sweet time. So I can just kind of run ahead of him just a little bit and just maybe get a part-time job while I'm focusing on all of this. And it was like a slap in the face. It was like a hard no. And I thought, okay, I'm going to stop. And I remember hearing his voice, can you trust me? And I'm like, well, I've been trusting you my whole life. But what I gathered from that question was, can you test me? Was, I think, leaving my job was a way for me to shift my focus from where I was looking to who he was in my life. Like, he still was in my life, but he became like the checklist to just be like, okay, God, I acknowledge you today. You got 2 seconds. Let's go. Okay, I'm out. So I was still seeking him, but I think I was looking more within myself and looking at my own strength. So I think pride kicked in. And I became, oh, look at me. I'm this Black woman. I went through life, and this is where I'm at. And then, you know, I can take care of myself. Yes, God is still there, but it's like that glory was like poured away from him, and I'm like claiming all his glory for me. At least that's what I've learned coming out of that situation, where it's like, no, I need to focus on him. Can I trust him? So then my focus shifted to like, okay, no, I'm just going to spend time with you. So I remember saying, yes, I can trust you. And then I got the prompting to go and pray every day in Nose Creek Park. Girl.
Like, who's this crazy lady? Now she's jobless and now going to parks. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I put my home on the market. And I thought, well, houses around me was selling left, right, and center. So I'm thinking maybe a week, couple of weeks, maybe a month, if anything. But I was thinking that because I knew I had enough in my bank account to hold me over for that time period. And then rewind to that, when I quit my job, I had a pension outside of my regular pension that I was contributing to, which I could take out. It wasn't locked in. And so when I quit my job, it was kind of like that backup plan.
Yeah.
That, okay, I can fall back on this money. It's not so much. Funny enough, I couldn't access that money because my work needed to do some things. And then the company my funds with, they need to do their processing. So I couldn't touch the money I didn't get it until January this year, actually. But that's just the story around that. So I couldn't touch that money. And what I had in my day-to-day savings was not sufficient to hold me over for an extended period of time. And so I thought, well, I've got enough to hold me up for a month, maybe two, if I like really ground myself and not spend. I can carry over for 2 months. So that's like, I need to have this home sold within that time period. So this is June. We listed the home. July, we had 2 offers. Nothing fell through. And I thought, okay, we still got 1 more month. It's not so bad. And I'm like praying, like, God, I need it on this date and on this time and da-da-da. And I'm like, I trust you, but with my own demands, right? Yeah. And so nothing happened. And I remember at the end of August, we had another offer. They were moving from BC to Alberta. And so they needed like a really long possession date.
Yeah.
Typically, people will give you 2 weeks. These people wanted 6 weeks. And I thought, okay, I don't have the funds in my bank account to deal with that. Exactly. And I'm like, I'm not going to go for payday loan. I'm like, God, you say I can trust you. Okay. So this is your moment.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to my girlfriend. She's in Saudi Arabia. She didn't know about the money problem, but she knew I was in that transition. And so, yeah. And out of the blue, we took the offer, we signed the papers, these people are moving in, and now I have a 1 month rent, 1 month mortgage to pay and bills, along with finding a new place. And so I started looking for a new place. And the place that I'm at right now, when I found it, I remember my friends in my circle, some of them were like, Amy, you don't have a job, there's nobody gonna wanna rent to you. Like, how you gonna manage? But at that point, something inside of me shifted. I went from like wanting to hang on to everything to like, I don't care if I'm in a box. If that's where God is wanting me to be, then I'm all in. So if it means selling everything in the house and moving to, on the street, as long as He's with me, I'm okay. So when I found this place, we spoke to the landlord. Of course, I had to be upfront and real because there's no point in lying. I told her I don't have a job, but I'm starting my business as a life coach. I haven't made any money yet because I'm just starting.
Like going on faith here.
Yeah. And so she's like, yeah, put in your application. We'll send it to head office. We'll see what comes out of it. So I submitted my application. And I remember the next day I had this prompting, go to the house and pray. I'm like, I don't have a key to the house. Like, how do I pray? And so, and it was like, go to the house and pray. Like the new house that I was going to rent. So I'm like, okay. So I drove over to the community. Of course, I don't have a key to the house, so I can go in. And it will feel weird standing in front of the house, but there's a park opposite the house. So I went to the park and sat there. And I'm looking at the house, and it's like, stretch out your hand and pray. And I'm just like seriously, God? Like, really? You're going to put me on the spot like that?
I think I'm crazy now.
Yeah, right? Apart from being in Nose Creek all summer, because that's what He wanted me to do. So every day I'll go to Nose Creek with my picnic blanket, my Bible, and I'll just sit there and I'll just spend time with Him. Yeah, go pray. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to go and pray. So I drove over, went, sat down on a bench, and I remember just like, yeah, like, I cleaned this house.
Faith makes us look so stupid, honestly. I cleaned this house.
Yes. I'm like, you sent me here to pray, so I'm here, and I'm cleaning this house. It's my house. I'm going to move in. Because you said so. And I walk away, got back in my car, and I'm like, who's looking? But I don't care at this point because I'm like, you want me to look crazy? It's all good. So got in my car, drove away. A few hours later, that evening, I got an email from the rental place. Wow. You've been approved. We need your damage deposit. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I don't have no damage deposit. The next morning, my girlfriend has sent me some funds just out of the blue. And that money was enough to cover the bills from the old house, my down payment for the new place, and moving expense from one place to another.
He's gyrating. Oh my God.
I know.
Oh my God.
He's just like, I'm like, how did that?
Yeah.
But then I'm like, sometimes we think we know God and we know what he's capable of,
Yeah.
but yet our human minds cannot comprehend it. And that was just the space I was in. I was in awe, but it was like, jaw drop. Like, how is this possible?
Yeah.
But he is possible.
Yeah.
So that's the journey. And then I started my life coaching business and have been in it now for a little bit. My initial schooling was coaching for women, so it was for adults. And then in January this year, I put a pause on the business because I went back to school and then got certified for children as well. So now I have the ability to coach adults and children. So right now I'm coaching women and children age 10 and up, in just finding who they are in Christ, finding the purpose. We all have some type of goal in mind, but oftentimes we don't know how to get to that goal, and that's kind of where I come in to just help people navigate and get them to the goals that they have for themselves. So, yeah, it's been a journey.
It's been a journey. And it's still a journey. You're still becoming, right?
I am.
You are still becoming. So what helped you stay grounded aside even God? I hear you throwing your community, like.
I've got amazing humans in my life. And I think that's just one way God blesses us. I came to, another story for another day, but I'm alone in Canada. My immediate family are all in the US. So I am just here by myself, now with my son, of course. But God has placed people in my life that have taken me as family. So whether it's parent figure or sister figure, that's my community. And I'm so blessed in having them because they were the one that kept me going. Obviously, I know before I can even say I have them, I had God because he was my number one. But when I felt like I didn't know what I was doing, or maybe I was confused in terms of hearing God, they were the one that I leaned on to be like, okay, this is happening. Even the friend that I told you, when I said to her I quit my job, she was like, the cloud has lifted. Eventually it clicked. I was like, oh, right. Okay, we're going to the wilderness. Let's go. But yeah, no, I do have amazing support. Outside of that, for myself, I put myself in places. I love people. And I think that's one of the things God has blessed me with is love. And love in such a way that I feel the emotions of people. So I'm a feeler, but that connects me with people in a interesting way that I've yet to understand. And I don't think I want to understand it because I think if I do, it might make me lose sight of who God is in my life because only him can give you that. But I've put myself in spaces. So I'm like volunteering. I have mentees that I mentor. I'm a youth leader. So I've got that community of people. Even me pouring out into them was alone to keep me going, knowing that, okay, no, I have to be this person, but for me to be that, I need to be this myself, understanding that I can't pour out of an empty cup. So, yeah.
Awesome. So what would you like to tell any woman or anyone listening today? What's that thing you want them to take away from this transition? I could hear courage, but it's scary. Trust me. After 17 years, I don't think I'm going to ask all the questions and have like plan A, B to G and then God.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So what would you tell anyone? What do you want to leave with the audience today for them to take?
The scriptures talks about for there to be faith, there's got to be work. Like when we look at the Israelites, before they entered the promised land, they had to have faith to step into the Jordan River before it parted. And so I think, if anything, yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, it's going to be challenging. Yes, there's going to be fear and doubts. But one of the things I've come to learn in my life is when we push through the fear, when we push through the doubt, when we can do the things that scare us, it's the thing that builds us up. It's the thing that gives us confidence. And so God is such a big God that we can trust him with our whole being, even when we don't fully understand how to trust him. And just trust him enough to let go. To let go. And I think that will be where the courage comes in. That will be where, the building of confidence comes in. That will be where you see yourself differently, because I don't see myself the same anymore. But I also don't see God the same anymore. Having walked through this, it's like my faith have elevated to another level. Whereas now, I still don't have a full-time job. I have a business, but it's not thriving the way I want it to. But I'm trusting that he's got me. And I'm at peace with that because I have that. But for me to have that is I have to look back, not at the painful part of the journey, but the highlighted part of the journey where he shows up. Like that money automatically appearing into my bank account, for example. Because only him can do that. So it's like lean on him, but also trust yourself in the process. Because when you know who you are in him, when you have that grounded identity of who you are in God. Because for me, I'm like, I'm a princess. My daddy owned the whole world. Right? Yeah. And so stepping out there and having that in itself give me the confidence to be like, okay, no, my daddy's got me. Even when I don't have myself, he's gonna catch me. So, yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Amy, for that.
Of course.
It was such a beautiful moment just hearing about your story, a part of your journey, because this is not the entire journey, a part of the journey. But thank you so much. And people, wow, this was really courageous. It kind of reminded me about Abraham when God said, pack up your stuff and go. And like when she first told me, I was like, go where, right? Like where? And I think in life, I feel like in life we're gonna have those moments where we don't know the entire picture. We can't see the entire picture. But like she said, trust he got you. Trust God got you, and trust yourself in the process. I cannot say that enough. Like we're more capable than we think we are, and also knowing who got us. I think that's the big thing. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and that you're going to trust yourself and you're going to trust God more than yourself. And if you're trying to reach out to Amy, our life coach, click the link below. There's a link to the Well Woman Circle. You'll find Amy there. You can contact her. She's wonderful. She unravels things that you didn't even think that you're thinking about. Trust me, she does. And I think that's a gift that God has given her, and she's walking in that gift, and I'm so proud of her. And please like, subscribe, and share to your friends. Someone might need this story. Someone might be at that point where they need to let go, and this might just speak to them. So until next week, well people, have a wonderful day and see you next time.